to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and another weekly Star Wars podcast episode that we got for you guys today. This is a very interesting, not so interesting episode at the same time. We're just going over some Star Wars headlines, just some small talk, just a chill thing to fill your week. So before you turn around and walk away, we got some cool stuff like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were originally reversed, and a new Skeleton Crew trailer and some other things. So stay tuned. Let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
What are you in for? What are you in for?
I found something buried in the woods.
Dad.
This is unacceptable. Do you understand?
What do you think it is? Don't touch anything.
What did you do?
We're lost. Really lost.
Stay together. We just need some directions home.
Come on, kid. Pay up. Whoa!
Where'd you two find an old Republic credit?
Over here, quick. I'll get you home. We'll make a partnership. But we have to move fast. I need you to take the controls.
Okay.
Neil? Neil?
A crew of murderous pirates is coming.
Something's wrong.
They're not going to just turn up. We need to find them.
We're not alone down here.
Be warned of booby traps. Pirates and mountains where none dare to go.
If you hear this, don't give up. No matter what.
All right, well, that is the new trailer for Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which comes out in December. Very much looking forward to that show. It's sort of a coming-of-age show, very reminiscent of the old Amblin movies like E.T., or if you want to get on the creepier side, something more recent, Stranger Things. You know, the kids on bikes sort of comparison there with some of those old 80s stuff. With the song from David Bowie, it was old Major Tom, I think, is played through the trailer, and very curious choice because it's not very Star Wars-ish to normally play. So, but I'm super excited to see kind of what this show is all about, and the little Easter eggs all scattered through the show. I'm positive that we're getting one example being the Old Republic credits. I think that really is Old Republic credits. Like anyone who's thinking back to the old MMO games or KOTOR, that level of Old Republic, not Republic as in Clone Wars Republic. Because those little credits looked a little dinged up and made of solid shiny gold and didn't look like the traditional credits we're used to seeing through the Clone Wars. So very interesting stuff. There's going to be a lot of Easter eggs, I'm positive. Treasure hunting, kind of young Goonie kid show like that in Star Wars. I mean, yeah, it's got to hold some interesting Easter eggs and secrets. And I know a few things have kind of leaked out as time's gone by. Some spoilers just for those of you who haven't seen the tweet that I put out not that long ago. is someone from Ewok Adventures is joining the cast or the show. Teak artist is Peter Schilling from Major Tom, not David Bowie. My goodness. All right. Teak from Caravan of Courage is potentially coming back from the Ewok Adventures. So we'll see if anything comes about that. But this is the latest rumor. And there's so much more to talk about. We're going to be doing an after show for Skeleton Crew after the show comes out and in December. So for those of you who've enjoyed the after shows that we've done so far for a lot of the Disney Plus things, we're gonna do another one as usual. And I'll have to do another cover art for that series, which is recent as of the year. If any of you enjoyed that. Maybe you don't care. Okay, so we got our co-host joining us in the escape pod now. Everyone, welcome Blake. Hello there.
I might need a new line.
Right.
How's it going today?
Doing good. Things are going well. I mean, this week we were, trying to pull something out of our rear ends for Star Wars chat because, of course, I feel like it's daily bread sometimes doing a weekly Star Wars show. It's like, what do we talk about? I get that asked a lot. What do you talk about on a weekly basis?
Yeah, you've done a good job, though. You've been doing this for years. And as you've spoke to this before, there's just always new stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, there always seems to be.
Sometimes it's nice to just kind of chill and just like talk about Star Wars as fans, Just
it is
to be whatever the new announcement or whatever is.
It's the way it started.
That's
the way
true.
It started. A lot of stuff. I did the first episode that Calvin was on for. Did an article about technology in the prequels, whether it's overrated. It was an article published by an online blog site. Forget the one. May have been Screen Rant. May have been someone else. But it was just basically the journalist was kind of making an argument of technology in the prequels being too advanced for movies that should have.
Is that more towards Attack of the Clones? Or
I think just in general between the Naboo starfighters and other things, like comparing that to the original trilogy where the technology in the films was more
practical and like
just more rough, I guess. Like holograms didn't look very good and they still used a lot of screens to display people, like video chats.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? And it's like...
Are they arguing that they should have tried to keep it in line with that?
Yeah, I think that or make it worse, right? Like make the technology worse. Because it's before, right? But then everything, when you watch the prequels, a lot of stuff is really kind of polished and science fiction-y, like half the stuff from the
planet. I think that's the
thing. That's the point. That's the key, right? And that was kind of part of the debate was like, okay, well, every civilization, it's such a big galaxy, like not everything's the same everywhere, right? Like the CIS, the big, huge separatist ship that Anakin crashes on in episode 3, there's like awesome like neon screens everywhere and looks super like science fiction-y and weird.
Right.
But that's
and you get to a Star Destroyer later and everyone's got these 1970s style computers with tiny screens.
Yeah. The little mini CRTs everywhere.
In white and green.
Yeah, exactly. So but it's about that's something I think it kind of plays a part in the universe, right? And as time's gone by, I feel like we've had Star Wars stories that have gone down that path of explaining, hey, this is a cheaper way of doing something that then compared to other forms of technology that might be more expensive, and the Rebellion can't exactly afford the best. So but
it is the Empire as well that has this retro technology. You could argue that
they're cheap. I mean, they don't even put up guardrails, right? Like that's another thing they made a joke about in Mandalorian. It's like, why is there never any guardrails on these things? It's like a 100 feet drop into a pit of lava.
Right. Yeah. Just super sketchy.
Yeah. So I mean, it was things like that. It was a good chat, and I feel like it was things like that. It was just like on a weekly basis, we're coming up with stuff, trying to make conversation out of it, and then the news picked up a big time. Because that was the same year that Mandalorian debuted, as well as The Rise of Skywalker hit theaters and so many other
that's true. That was a big time then.
Yeah, so many other things rippled after that. Like we had the finale to the Clone Wars soon after, a few months later.
Oh, I forgot that came out then.
Yeah, that was right after Rise of Skywalker.
In my head, that is always 4 years earlier than that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's weird, but... so around that time, I started taking Diego through Clone Wars Doc. We started doing the after show Clone Wars Doc, which I think people are still going through that, going back to those older episodes. And
it was such a good show, man. And it was so rewatchable.
It is, yeah.
And Rebels, it's not quite to that level, but it's come up a lot, in my opinion, from that time. And I think part of it is also after going through the Bad Batch, it just didn't kind of hit that mark for me.
Right.
Because I enjoyed it, but it was like a very, very niche story.
Yeah.
Right? It was very specific.
Yeah, you had to be a real fan of those set of characters in order to really kind of get on board and be a solid fan for that show.
It felt like it was more of a limited series as opposed to like a full show.
It did, and I kind of wish that it did a little more. And I think I've expressed that when we were going through that show, was like it had such a big opportunity to explore this era a bit more in detail outside of this group of characters. And I feel like I just didn't really get what I was hoping for out of that as much. But for fans who really love seeing that same group of characters each week, which were probably the same fans who really loved that aspect of Rebels as well, probably loved it a lot. And
Clone Wars too, to be honest, it was just slightly broader.
Yeah, Clone Wars was so broad. I mean, yeah, the main characters were the main trio: Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka. But I mean, really, like, it was such a broad show. We had arcs entirely where it was just Boba Fett, or like just Ventress, or whatever. And it was things like that I appreciated, because you got to see the greater galaxy at large. And sometimes it was those arcs, those story arcs about other characters like Maul and Savage Opress that were just so interesting and still remain to be some of the best Star Wars stories ever told, you know, in animation form, if you will, right? If you're making those comparisons. But
nope, I agree. But I think part of that is even just the fact that it broke the mold a bit of just seeing Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka's adventures every week.
Yeah.
And so it was just more memorable.
It did.
And I felt like they also probably put a little more effort into that specific story, because why else would they have these other characters do something?
Yeah, and you get such good stories out of it, out of exploring other character arcs, and, you know, like the Yoda story arc, such a great way to bring Liam Neeson back to animation. You know, he came back to Star Wars numerous times as Qui-Gon before the Obi-Wan show. In Clone Wars. And, you know, I really appreciated that. And it's like, there's some connection there with the original trilogy that fans of the original films might watch that Clone Wars arc and connect to and go like, oh, there's Yoda's Dagobah theme. And oh, he's now on Dagobah and he has to go into the cave of darkness and, you know, like, experience something there. It's like he's discovering how to be immortal, which is something that George never had the time to do in the movies. And it's like, I really love that kind of stuff. You know, I really love how that show was also delivered by George. You know, that was the last thing that he did before leaving the company.
Yeah, that's right.
And then passed the torch to Dave and kind of said, here, you know, take care of my baby, sort of thing. And yeah,
youngling, Josh, they're called younglings.
Take care of my youngling. Yeah. That sounds weird. But yeah, I mean, you know, it was cool. And anyway, so yeah, I appreciate all the animated shows that they've done so far. They've all been visually, as time's gone by, they just look better and better and better. But yeah, Clone Wars will forever be my favorite. And
it's fair. And considering, in my opinion, it had a pretty rough start.
It did, yeah.
Man, like,
yeah, it was not very great. You know, like,
I watched the theatrical movie first, and then I had such a hard time with that. I just didn't watch it.
That was
years later.
The irony of that being, when it came out, it was actually Diego who was with me amongst a few other people, and I remember him saying like, man, that sucks. And I was so offended because I didn't want to believe it. I was like, no, it was just like, it was good.
No. It's not true.
It's not. Yeah, but you know, ultimately, it's like, looking back. Yeah, it's
that's impossible.
It's not a fabulous like story or anything. It's just like it does bring me back to this like nostalgic kind of. So for me, it's probably better than showing somebody else being like, hey, this is this like super awesome nostalgic animated Star Wars movie that was in the theater. Believe it or not, and they would probably watch it and go like, that was awful. But
that's where it went wrong.
Yeah,
is they put it in theaters.
I think so.
If it was a TV movie, that's fine, because then it's still a 3D animated show that has a kickoff movie. But because it went to theaters, and I bought it on DVD to watch it because I never saw it in the theater. Because cool, there's a new Star Wars movie. It's animated. Grabbed it. And so I'm expecting something of the quality of like Ice Age. Yeah. It is not the quality of Ice Age.
No.
And so I'm like, what am I watching?
Right. Because it
felt
was
like
a theatrical film based on a TV budget, based on the...
Yeah, and that's 100% what the issue was.
Yeah.
But from my circumstance of buying this DVD, expecting a Star Wars animated movie... And then getting what we got, or they're trying to save Jabba the Hutt's kid with this really low budget animation. Yeah. Like, what is happening?
I think it was also, you know, like a lot of people forget, but the art style kind of changed as time went by. And I think at first when the show came out, it was a pretty tough adjustment for most of us, I think, seeing these characters in that form and, you know, with that kind of manga look about them, with the hair and the eyes and just the physical, the sharp features. I mean, you know, look at Dooku and his beard. I mean, like it was.
Yeah, Dooku's own.
It's crazy. Like when you look at like the animated Clone Wars versus live action, I think a lot of us just kind of became accustomed to it as time went by. But yeah, like seeing season 1 versus season 7, it's like the features softened a lot as time went by.
With the new models.
Yeah, as they updated the models as time went by, like they still kept the core.
Is that a poly thing, you think?
No, well, no, I think it was literally just a change of artistic direction, but also the ability. They had more money, so they were able to put more time into these assets. But I think like with the time in redesigning some of these assets, they also had the time to make slight tweaks and adjustments. And I feel like things just looked better, you know, over the course of the show. And you know, some characters didn't really change all that much. You know, Dooku had that harsh beard until right to the end, but
well, they couldn't remove it then. It was iconic.
Right, but like other characters certainly improved in my opinion a lot, and I don't know, it just kind of just softened it up a little bit for me visually, and I'm glad that the Bad Batch kept that same art style. It allowed them to reuse a lot of the Clone Wars assets, which helped them out financially, big time. Mm-hmm. You know, being a show based around clones again, and and then same with Tales of the Jedi, it was the same ordeal there. I think the only one that's kind of broken away from that arrangement or that structure was Rebels. And I think it's because of the nature of doing that on Disney XD. They were targeting a different audience. They wanted to make it kind of clear.
Resistance is pretty different too.
Oh, well, Resistance is kind of, its own thing really as well. But like Rebels is kind of only like slightly different because it's like.
It's closer to Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's really targeting the Ralph McQuarrie twist on things, which was interesting. But yeah, they were targeting a younger audience. But the features in Rebels are really soft. Like the lightsaber blades are super skinny, and everyone looks different. Like,
well, they look like it's like pastels.
Yeah, and also it's like the eyes, the shapes of eyes weren't like boxes anymore. They were like kind of normal looking and
more round. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
The show in general was far more round in features.
Yeah, for sure, Yeah, but yeah, as time's gone by, man, like I really have embraced that Clone Wars art style a lot. Like, and they've improved it big time.
That was your main complaint with Rebels. I remember that. Yeah.
Rebels, and Rebels is still kind of strange sometimes when I look at it. I'm like, Maul looks weird. He's supposed to look like the Clone Wars version, which also looks strange, you know, to people who've seen the live action. But anyways, so what's crazy is at this point in time, you know, after that whole spiel, Mandalorian is now 5 years old and Rebels is 10.
Isn't that crazy? I found that out the other day because I still remember when Rebels first came out and we were all like, oh my gosh, they got James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
For this animated show.
That was the pilot
Spark of Rebellion. I still remember because it doesn't feel like 10 years ago.
Well, don't you have the DVD?
I probably do, to be honest with you. I think I have them all in Blu-ray except for the first season, which they only did DVDs.
Yeah, I have all of them in Blu-ray, all 4 seasons in Blu-ray. But yeah, I mean, it's been 10 years since that show came out, and I can't believe that it's been 10 years because when Revenge of the Sith hit 10 years, I remember that was around the same time that Disney was buying Lucasfilm, and it felt like longer than 10 years for some reason. At that time, at least in my head, 10 years seemed like it was a longer time than 10 years now. I feel like Rebels still is somewhat recent as a show.
I think that's just because we're not in like school anymore.
Yeah, that and like Force Awakens too. Like, you know, to think of Force Awakens
doesn't feel like 10 years, but I think it's just because we're getting old.
Yeah, like next year Force Awakens turns 10 years old. Like that to me is like what
it's crazy.
Heck, like where is the time gone? Like, when did that become a 10-year-old movie?
Actually, it's funny because this kind of goes right into what we're talking about later. We're going to talk about the Lego Ghost, the new one that came out. So, it's over a year now. Came out with Ahsoka, but I recently purchased it because I missed the first Ghost that came out when Rebels first came out.
Yeah, and that's the one I got.
Yeah, and I remember being pretty bummed about it. This one came out when I got it. In my head, I only missed it by like I just missed buying it. Like they just stopped selling it.
Like 2 years ago.
But in reality, it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, pretty nuts, right? But yeah, I can't believe Mandalorian is also 5 years old. I mean, that also means that Disney Plus is 5 years old. And to me, that still feels like a new streaming service.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yeah.
It's like new kid on the block.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe it.
But technically it's in kindergarten.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that that's still such a, I don't know. It feels like it's been around for it's strange how time goes by for some things and not for others. But
yeah. Honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with working from home and COVID and stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, Disney Plus turning 5 years old. So congrats to Disney on that. But Mandalorian, I think it's as of November or December this year that, or maybe even October. I forget when it launched, but
probably December,
5 years old.
If I were to guess, just because that's when they usually release that stuff.
Yeah, pretty nuts. I remember that pilot very vividly. I've seen it so many times now. To think that 5 years later, was it just this year or just at the end of last year that they published out the 4K Blu-rays for season 1?
It was so late.
So yeah, like 4 or 5 years later, and I never thought that they would do it, to be honest. Like a lot of these streaming exclusive shows and movies, they kind of keep locked away in that Disney vault, never to be seen on a disc hard copy for life, right? And I'm so glad
they're still
that they
hiding
did it.
the holiday special.
Yeah. Oh well, I don't know if they even know
Or did
that,
they,
but
did
yeah.
they put that up now? I can't remember.
No, I think they put on the what was it, like the Wookiee thing?
There's the animated
the Faithful
Ewok
Wookiee
show.
The Faithful Wookiee. I was gonna say exotic Wookiee, but no, I'm thinking of the actual holiday special.
Right.
The VR headset scene. If anyone's seen it. But yeah, like Blu-ray came out last year. This year they did season 2 and what was the other show? Andor and Obi-Wan came out, and there was one more. Was there one more? I forget.
Oh, sorry. Start over the list.
Book of Boba Fett, maybe.
I don't
So
think you mentioned
they
that.
did Mando season 1.
Yeah.
They've done.
Oh, you mean a Blu-ray?
Yeah, on the Blu-rays. Like which ones do we have?
Well,
I definitely have Andor and Mando season 1 and 2
it's
and
funny how they
Obi-Wan.
put Andor out like right away.
Oh, those are the 4. Mando.
I think they did
and
Obi-Wan, yeah.
Mando and Andor and season 2 Mando and Obi-Wan.
I think that's right.
I think it's those 4 so far.
So they haven't done Mando 3
No.
or Ahsoka.
Right, and those come out
Or
in
Book of
December.
Boba.
Right, Book of Boba still needs to come out, I think. But yeah, they've done 4 so far. They're coming out with Ahsoka and Mando season 3 in December, and they've also been doing
Book
some of
of
the
Boba
Marvel
better
stuff.
look like a book.
No. I want it to match with all of the other steel books in my set. Thank you very much.
But it's in the name.
Yeah, it is.
Did it? I'm trying to remember back to the show now because it's been a while since I watched it. Did it have anything to do with a book at all?
No. I think it was just like a way of saying like, hey, this is the story of, right? Like the story of Boba Fett.
Right, because there was a lot of it that was in the past.
Yeah.
Like his journals or something.
Yeah.
Like that kind of idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do we not have?
That was a weird show.
No, we don't have a Boba Steelbook, I don't think.
No. I don't think
Interesting.
so.
I thought they would have done that before Ahsoka, but
It didn't do as well as the other shows.
yeah.
I think that's why. Because Andor did very well and that came out almost immediately.
Right. I don't know. Maybe they're targeting a certain audience with doing Ahsoka and Mando season 3. Maybe they thought that those would, even though Book of Boba and Mando season 3 kind of go hand in hand, I think Ahsoka and Mando season 3 also go hand in hand because season 2, the last steelbook that left us with the introduction of the live action Ahsoka character, is tying into this parallel show because Ahsoka, I think, takes place the same time as Mando season 3.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it's something like that. So anyway, we got something to look forward to. Christmas list, everybody. More steel books from Star Wars.
I need that Fry meme, that Futurama one. Just take my money.
Yeah. I got a little story for you. So I was scrolling the Twitter feed the other day, and I saw this little headline from popping up. Everyone was sharing it and buzzing about it. So this is from the Star Wars Twitter sphere buzz. Still calling it the Twitter sphere. George Lucas originally planned to switch
Would that
the
make
names.
you part of the rebellion?
The what?
The rebellion.
The rebellion?
The Twitter rebellion.
Yeah, the Twitter rebellion.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of people that are refusing to call it X.
It just sounds weird.
It is weird. It doesn't roll off the tongue as nice as Twitter.
No, the X sphere.
X app. It's exciting.
It's all your X's out there. I don't know.
I don't. Oh man, do you think that's what he was going for?
Maybe. Anyway, George Lucas planned to switch the names of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in The Phantom Menace. And here's the quote that I grabbed. For a time, the older Jedi was named Obi-Wan, and the younger Jedi was named Qui-Gon. It is so at the end, what happens is as Obi-Wan dies and Qui-Gon defeats Darth Maul and stays with his master as he passes away, he not only takes on his master's quest, but he takes on his name. So Qui-Gon becomes Obi-Wan, and that's why when you that's why when you see Alec Guinness in A New Hope, he puts down his hood and goes, Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
How would you explain that to the Jedi Council?
So it's because he's not Obi-Wan, he's actually Qui-Gon, but at the end, George changed it to what we know now as Obi-Wan is Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon is Qui-Gon. But at first it was like I don't know how to parallel that way of thinking, but it's like almost like the name was also a title, and it was like a thing of respect that you just take your master's name.
The rank of Obi-Wan.
yeah. You're on this council, but we do not grant you the name of Obi-Wan.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
What would Yoda's original name be?
Yaddle.
I would say Hubert.
Yippee.
Yogurt.
But yeah, I mean, like, I thought that was kind of weird and strange at the same time. And I just wanted to ask you, like, do you think that there is some internal logic with making that make sense with how he's like, oh, no, that's a name I haven't gone by in a long time. But that's because he's been known as Ben Kenobi,
That's
right?
what I assumed was that. And that already made sense.
That is the case, yeah. But it's interesting that in one of the drafts, like, this was a thing that it was like, oh, well, he is Qui-Gon, he is Qui-Gon, then he takes the, wait, really? Is that?
And this is why it's so confusing.
It's so confusing. No, yeah, so he is Qui-Gon, but he takes the name of Obi-Wan, and he is the name
so
Obi-Wan.
The real Obi-Wan doesn't exist, and Qui-Gon became Obi-Wan.
Well, the real Obi-Wan does exist, but he dies by Maul's hand.
Right. But their names were
Qui-Gon
reversed.
becomes Obi-Wan.
The apprentice was Qui-Gon. I think that's
the apprentice was Qui-Gon, yeah.
Okay.
So Alec Guinness's character's name would have been originally Qui-Gon Jinn, but it's really complicated.
That's probably why they didn't do it.
It was kind of a funny, like,
George was trying to explain this exact conversation, and just like us, whoever was talking to him was like, what are you talking about?
You know what's interesting, though, is I think this is a really interesting idea that in doing the prequel movies, he knew that audiences know who Obi-Wan is.
Right. He's trying to pre-make a twist.
Yes, he's trying to pre-make a twist. Yeah.
Or was he just really high and thought, wait, what if Obi-Wan was actually Qui-Gon the whole time?
Just imagine, like, Rick McCallum, dude.
I can picture that perfectly.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, it's
might have went a little bit too far in places.
Yeah. What if Jar Jar was actually reversed? Jar Jar. Switch his last name and his first name. Wait, but George, wouldn't it be Binks Jar Jar?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, never mind. Anyways, so I thought it was kind of interesting because, like, yeah, it is sort of done with that strategy of, like, let's surprise audiences because they think that the master is gonna live and he's gonna lose his apprentice, being Qui-Gon Jinn. But in actual fact, oh no, Obi-Wan dies and now Qui-Gon becomes Obi-Wan and he's now Obi-Wan. So it was like a twist for the unnecessary factor of an extra. You know, I just like.
I think he was trying to, in my mind,
trying to make a surprise.
Yeah, he was trying to pre-instigate a twist because after the Darth Vader reveal, there's always this thing in Star Wars where to have a twist.
Right, and that's the thing, right? And I think people always argue, and you can feel free to disagree with me about this, but I've always thought that watching in chronological order just to me made more sense for someone who knows nothing about Star Wars. So to somebody who doesn't know that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, I feel like there's just more twists and surprise and drama in watching this prophesized chosen one tank to rock bottom and seeing the progression of who his master would have been die, and now Obi-Wan has to be his master reluctantly, and these things just kind of continuously get kind of worse. And it's almost like other stories where things are just kind of progressively rough on the protagonists of the story. And it just kind of stays continuous like that. But if you watch the later 3 films, or the mid trilogy now, the middle 3, you kind of lose that, because when you go back to the prequels, nothing's a surprise for 3 whole movies. But whereas if you start at the beginning, everything is a surprise and unexpected for the next film in the series.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I know at the time, because I was a fan originally of the Machete Order. I'm getting the name right. It's been a while.
That's where you chop out episode 1, right?
No, it's where you watch episode 4 and 5, so you get the Vader reveal, and then you watch the prequels, and then you watch episode 6.
I think you did a modified Machete Order, because it's called the Machete Order because it chops out a movie.
There's more than one like version, so maybe I'm getting the name mixed up. But the one I watched, or I used to watch in.
Yeah, the Machete Order is 4, 5, 2, 3, 6.
Well, it is kind of petty,
Yeah.
which ironically now is my favorite prequel, but.
Yeah, which celebrated 25 years more recently.
Yeah, I'm getting the 25th anniversary Lego minifigures.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I think I've got 2 now.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm getting up there.
Yeah. But yeah.
I was going to say, but with all of the expanded movies now, including the sequel trilogy, kind of just falls apart.
It does. Yeah. And once you throw in the animated shows and the live action shows, it becomes this whole other monster to tackle. And I'm just
Josh,
a fan
only
of
you
being
watch
like,
the animated shows within the window of the context they're supposed to be in while going through the series.
Yeah.
Nobody else does that. That is way too much time.
No, I personally have only done it once, and that was a while ago, before a lot of the newer animated shows, which lengthened that process. But yeah, I mean, when I took, she's basically family at this point, but she was a home state student in my family for a little while. And she'd never seen Star Wars. She didn't know anything about it. Like, she knew
nothing.
She didn't know none. But yeah, like, she knew who Darth Vader was, and she knew who Luke Skywalker was. She knew the basic iconic things, but she didn't know that Darth Vader was Anakin, and she didn't know that Luke was his son. Right?
Those are the people that I thought the Machete Order originally was a good fit for.
Yeah. So we did chronological. You know, I started off with Phantom Menace, and after every movie, just said, save your questions for the end, because first off, you know, coming from the perspective of, I've seen these movies a million times, it is hard to put yourself in a position of wondering what certain things are, right? And wondering what certain things are for, and ships and technology, all these things. It's such a rich and colorful galaxy that it is difficult to ask the simple questions to yourself of, like, somebody that doesn't know a lot about this universe, would they wonder about that, right? And it always kind of humbles me when I get a question like that, like, oh, like, what does that mean? And I'm like, you know, to me it's an obvious answer, but I'm like, oh, I guess, yeah, like, to this person this is just a movie, you know. And it's like, okay, gotta take off the blinders, you know, for half a second here. So after every movie, you know, she asked me the questions, and the things that
what is a T-16?
not exactly like that, but it was just, you know, and like, there was just, you know, just maybe like 3 or 4, but at the same time, any question that she had that had something to do with the next movie, I wouldn't answer it. I'd just say, I can't answer that right now. You know, you have to keep watching the movies. So at the time,
classic dad answer.
At the time, I think it was episode 7 had come out, and this was a while ago, right? So almost 10 years ago. Yeah. So it wasn't 9 movies, you know, it was just 7, and so it was mainly, the focus was on the first 6 to get through episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know if Rogue One had come out at that point. If it had, I did watch it with her in that contextual order. But yeah, it was. Oh, you know what? We did watch it. We did watch Rogue One. It was after Rogue One came out, so it must have been 9 years ago then. But yeah, I double backed that. I back-to-backed it with A New Hope to get that full story. You know, Rogue One plus A New Hope. I feel like I did a really good job, you know, with showing off this story, this this saga. And I asked her afterwards, like, you know, you remember when we watched this movie here? Like, would you feel like if you had just watched those 3 and then gone back and watched the other ones, like, would that have been more beneficial or more enjoyable for you? And she's like, no, it would have been more confusing.
Okay.
And I think at least this day and age, people are used to expecting that chronological release order as well as the viewing order. Like, they want want it to be the same thing. And the MCU is doing that now too. Like many years ago, like, you know, it was like Captain America came out after all these other things, and they were trying to figure it out, but it was also a matter of putting these into order after and saying, okay, well, this happened before here and this happened before there. I think it was only around phase 3 that they kind of started doing this very linear release order and targeting when to release a movie and then writing it to make sure it takes place between the one that came before and the one that comes after, right? And very few times have they kind of gone back on that. And the same thing works for a lot of the TV shows that they do as well. As long as you continuously watch the stuff that they put out in the order it comes out, you're really not as confused as somebody might used to be for following what goes on in that world, right? And I think it helps a lot. Like, it helps a lot with when you start getting a very expansive
That was always a huge
story.
complaint with Star Wars in the Disney era. I know a friend of ours was just always so confused because like Rogue One came out after Episode 7.
Yeah.
So he just assumed it took place after Episode 7.
Right. Yeah. And our friend Yash is also like, he is also like a nobody knows who that is, but yeah, like he was also confused. Like when Mandalorian came out, it was confusing for him because he thought that The Mandalorian was a prequel to the movies.
Right, because he thought it was Boba Fett, right?
He thought not only did he think it was Boba Fett, but he
or did
thought
he think it was Django, whatever.
He just out of context, he thought, oh, this show takes place before all these things. In actual fact, it's like, okay, well, you're not like, you know, it does take place before the new movies,
Right.
like the new ones, but being the sequel trilogy, but not the original, many original films. So I kind of had to explain that where it takes place, and then he sort of understood. But he thought it was a prequel because of Grogu. He thought that
was Yoda.
He thought that people calling this character Baby Yoda, it inferred to him, oh, it's a prequel.
I think a lot of people thought that, especially because of that name.
Yeah,
They still call Grogu that.
Yeah, and it's like, it's unfortunate, but you know, it's like that's gonna happen when you release things out of timeline chronological order, right? Like you start releasing things here and there. But Star Wars is never break. It's always going to do that. Like we're going to get a new Jedi Order Rey movie in a few years, and we're going to have a Dawn of the Jedi movie in a few years, right?
That's going to be very confusing.
So for a lot of people who don't follow that,
you have to do High
universe,
Republic, and then they also do like a Rey reestablishment of the Jedi Order. Yeah, it's going to throw people off for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So
it's tough because you have people like us, and I'm guessing a lot of our listeners are like pretty into Star Wars, and we have a pretty good grasp of what's going on.
Yeah.
But if you think you're just an average moviegoer,
right, and that's where a lot of the money is.
Lost.
That's the thing. Like, and that's the thing that kind of grounds me, at least when I think about, okay, like what are they gonna do next for a movie, right? For theatrical movie. I can see why they're doing a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Like some people might be like, why the heck would they do that? Why not just another season, right? But it makes sense. Like the Mandalorian Grogu pulled in this entire group of people who may have never seen Star Wars before, or never really liked them all that much. The
trick was to have a really cute looking Yoda.
It
brought in a lot of people.
Yeah, it brought in a lot of people. It brought in like friends of like my parents and stuff that would not normally get excited about anything Star Wars. You know, they might not even know what the heck goes on in 6 out of 9 of those movies or whatever, right? Like it's just one of those things that it grabbed the attention of the world when it came out as a phenomenon of a show, and now it's turned into this event that they can make a movie on and make serious money on, right? And that for them is a risk-free experience of making a film, whereas a lot of other films that they've done, it's kind of been hit or miss. And especially when you get a thing like, with the sequel Trajectory and how that went, like that was kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, a movie like Solo, where it takes place randomly in the middle of and that's a very famous character as well, which the movie just bombed hard financially. And it's like, okay, yes, it had some issues in the filmmaking process, burned more money on producing that film than they probably anticipated. But at the same time, who are you targeting with this film, right?
Right.
Is it for moviegoers? Is it for Star Wars fans? Is it for fans of Han Solo? Is it for all of them? Is it like, are we targeting kids, like younger kids with this movie, like Skeleton Crew? Who knows, right? Like, I think it was just kind of a movie that they just did.
And let's not forget, it also came out pretty shortly, like a year after The Last Jedi.
Right. So they lost a lot of respect from Star Wars fans, which is the rumor goes.
It depends,
right?
Which side you want to consider yourself on.
Yeah.
For that whole situation. But the point I was raising was, it was definitely a point where I think the fandom of Star Wars was a little bit lost of where they wanted the franchise to go.
Yeah, for sure. And they had to rethink their strategy. And like it's a business model, right? Like at the end of the day, Star Wars started off being this story that a really good storyteller wanted to make, and it was an indie 6-part saga that he made to be one entity, and then sold the keys to the car, to Disney, who is interested in making money, right? That at the end of the day, that's what they do. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time,
part of that I think is he wanted this thing he created to keep going, and he knew he couldn't do it forever.
Yeah, which is fair, right? And he wanted these stories to live on, and I totally respect that.
And he did that while the Marvel franchise was like doing really well. They did really well with the Pirates Caribbean series.
Yeah.
At that point, Disney had really proved themselves to do a really good long-term franchise and run very well and be quality.
And George has had a lot of respect for the company of Disney as the years have gone by, right? Like he's always had good relations with them, with the Star Tours ride being ever present at Disney parks since like the 80s, and he was there as a kid on opening day of Disney, or maybe it was the second day it opened, but it was like I think it was opening day that he was there.
That's crazy.
As a kid
in California,
in Disneyland, yeah.
Oh wow.
So like I get it. Like I get it. At the same time, my other half of my mind is going like, why did you sell it? But we've got some good stories from Disney. They've done a really.
It's true, we have.
I honestly, as much as I'm divisive like about some of the things that have come out of that company, at the same time I'm like, who would do it better, right? Universal, Warner Brothers, like Warner Brothers, the place that's rebooting Harry Potter as a TV show and rebooted the DC universe 4 times over. Like, are you kidding me? No.
Yeah.
Universal.
Think of how many different Batman series there are, right?
Think about how many Fast and Furious movies there are.
Well,
I just did a comparison.
Is one franchise, though.
I just did a comparison of Fast and Furious and Star Wars more recently, which was like so weird when you put it down on paper how similar they are. But I mean, yeah, like it's like who could do a better job? And I would
agree with them. That's who I would have picked as well.
Yeah, you got to hand it to them. It's like at the end of the day, a lot of these things do line up with the way George thinks about Star Wars. He says these movies are for kids, and Disney makes movies for kids. They do a really good job at it too.
Yeah, that's always been their main audience.
Yeah, they have a lot more in common than I think people give George credit for selling Star Wars to Disney, and I totally respect his decision to do that for fans to keep enjoying new Star Wars stories, right? So yeah, I mean, we don't need to like everything they do, but it's been I'm just quite thankful we're still here talking about new stuff, like not the same.
Yeah, that's the thing. He could, let's say theoretically George didn't sell it, and then who knows how long we would wait if he did the other 3.
We wouldn't have games like Jedi Survivor
ever, right?
Right, totally.
It could have
died.
Like that's what I was kind of getting at. If there's an unfortunate circumstance or he passes or whatever, like that would just be it.
Yeah. I mean, like there's a lot of
rights would go to
series.
the family, and then it'd probably end up very similar to like Tolkien stuff, right?
Right.
Where sometimes we get stuff, sometimes we don't. Some things get opened up.
Yeah, depending on the estate.
Don't, and exactly. Yeah. It gets very complicated.
Yeah. So it could have been much worse. And yeah. So anyway, so we went on a bit of a tangent there, but what were we saying?
I don't even know. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Lots of stuff.
So it's been 10 years.
Okay, so you brought in your Lego Ghost. Let's talk about that, and then we got some questions to go over.
We gotta grab them both.
Yeah.
So maybe pause.
Okay, yeah. Let's. All right, so you got your Lego Ghost here.
I do.
I've got mine on the table. It's already unveiled. So I got the original from 2000. I think it's 2015.
Is it 15?
I think it's 2015. Yeah, let me just pull up the Lego Ghost original. This was one you had to buy the Phantom separately. It was a separate set.
That's right.
So the Ghost originally, for those Lego fanatics out there, we are specifically talking about what set is this? Item 75053. 929 pieces. Ages 9 to 14. This came with Harrison Dula, Kanan Jarrus, Zeb Aurelios, and a Stormtrooper as minifigs. Came with a Lego brick separator. It came with the Ghost, no Phantom, and it has the 2 flaps on the front. It has the little shooter mechanic thing that they started putting in all the ships at the same time. Kanan Jarrus is pretty sweet. Blue lightsaber, a little blaster he's got there. Same with Hera, a little blaster. Zeb Aurelios has a staff. It was a cool set. The sides come out and they become escape pods, but you have to buy the Phantom separately, which plug into the back.
I think those are actually escape pods on the real Ghost.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're actually, I think, how you dock.
That's right. Yeah.
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 So yeah, they just kind of made a mechanic out of it. But yeah, the turret swivels in the middle. It's a really cool looking set. And with the Phantom as a extra set that you could kind of tack on and plug into the back, that set came with Chopper and Ezra. So minus Sabine, you get really most of the Ghost crew in buying the 2 sets, and then you have to buy Sabine in a separate set, which I still need to do. I probably need to go through Bricklink at this point. I waited too long.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so you have the new one. You have
quick side note: the set you were talking about, the original Ghost, was the only set to get Zeb, which was very annoying for a show that was on the air for like 4 years.
That is annoying.
And so, if you want to buy that specific minifigure, it's like $200.
Dang, dude.
I know, because I wanted to buy, because the new one is from the Ahsoka series, so it doesn't have the original cast from the animated franchise or the animated series.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, I would like to buy the original.
Oh, you're right.
Characters.
2014, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So.
It was. Yeah, you're right. 2014. Wow. 10 years ago.
10 years. And so I was like, oh, I want to buy the original characters. And most of them you can get for like, between $10 and $15, except for Zeb, which was $200.
Yes.
So I was very annoyed when I found that out.
I'm just looking right now, and yeah, Zeb, it's only included in the set that I have. The maximum he's going for on Bricklink is 484 Canadian. That's 348 US to our US friends.
That's probably never been used or assembled.
Yeah. That probably.
Yeah, because the cheap ones are like 180.
About 100.
It's like cracked and faded. It like has bite marks.
Yes. Yeah.
It's still like $180.
So
I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, for about $100, you can get a Zeb with a problem.
Oh my goodness. Missing head and left
So
leg.
I would say for a good one, you're sitting between $100 and $300 maybe.
That's a big window, but yeah.
Yeah, roughly. And then $400 for like brand spanking new out of the plastic bag, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so you have the new one. So the new one is set number 75357 with 1394 pieces. So it was like almost a 400 or 300 piece.
It's because it comes with the Ghost.
Increase, and that's because you're right. It comes with the Phantom 2.
That's what it is. Sorry, excuse me.
This is for ages 10 and up, so got 1 extra year on there for the age range.
Build.
And you get so this one retails for.
Notice how there's no maximum age for this one, but there is for the other.
I know, right?
Maybe they stopped doing that.
I feel so lame buying that old one now.
Lego.
So it's $160. That's what it goes for now. This is the Ghost and Phantom 2, and it's still it's on back order right now, but you can still get it because this was got the Ahsoka packaging and stuff like that. So let's see it. I haven't seen this in person yet.
So here's the big reveal. Hopefully it doesn't break.
It broke.
An odd piece. There you go.
Ooh.
So I think from what I saw online, they're like essentially the exact same footprint.
Yeah, it looks like it. So you got way more pieces, but the footprint is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the Phantom 2. So, for any Rebels fans out there, the first Ghost that you can buy with that Phantom that plugs into the first Ghost is the Phantom 1. That's the one that originally gets shot down, I think, or blows up or whatever. And then they get the Phantom 2, which is that old Separatist shuttle. So this is the one with a miniaturized version of the Phantom 2, which plugs in backwards.
It's actually out of scale, which is my biggest complaint.
Yeah, because I have a Seppi shuttle. It's actually right behind you on the shelf. You can compare sizes. It's just down there, but right behind your chair, by the Tri-Fighter down there. That's the, I think, proper minifig scale Separatist fighter, which if they did like a full-size Phantom 2 in that format, that's how big it would be.
That is way bigger.
Which roughly is about a quarter of the size of the Ghost itself.
And on top of that, the problem is, I don't know if they like cheated it in the show or if the Ghost is actually just huge.
The Ghost is huge. It's bigger than the Falcon.
Okay, I did wonder that.
Yeah.
But by how much? Like, is it like?
Well, it's 2 stories tall, whereas opposed to the Falcon, which is 1 story tall. And also, we've seen the Ghost take in cargo into its and small ships and stuff into his little mini hangar, right? Mm-hmm. So it is big. That ship is huge. It's a big ship.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't realize it was like that. I knew it was bigger than the Falcon, but I thought by 25%. Sounds like it might be almost.
That's still a lot though. But yeah, no, it is
maybe almost
extra tall,
big,
thickness wise. Because if you look at the windows on the Ghost, you have the bottom and the upper. Yeah, it's like a full extra story. That's not just
so it's kind of the Falcon with the 2 turrets. But yeah.
Yeah, and then a 3rd level for the top turret. So yeah, and then they have a bottom turret as well. Don't forget. Which
I was talking about the Millennium Falcon.
Oh yeah, right, okay. So
yeah, you can see there the
that
too. It's there's a huge discrepancy there.
Right.
But because I had to scale down the Ghost so much, the Phantom 2, even though it's scaled down as well, is not scaled down proportionally.
Right.
Which really bugs me because it looks humongous.
But you can plug it in into the back. Whereas my Phantom 1, you have to remove, they made the front cockpit section removable. And it's only the back half that plugs in, which makes it look like it's like fully docked. But in actual fact, the front half is just kind of on the shelf somewhere else. And you have to, if you remove the fountain, you have to like plug in the cockpit section on the front there.
Yeah,
so,
and I was looking at the other day here in your recording room, and it actually will fit the other way around, but you need to add an extra piece here.
Yeah, the way you build it in the instructions is it docks front first. So like that's the way that they intended it to be docked. But also probably because the boosters on the back of the Phantom do contribute to the Ghost. Like it does properly look.
Like it looks nicer
like
together.
Yeah, but I also think that that's just how that ship docked. Like in the show, I think the Phantom docking on the Ghost was front first.
It does both.
If I typed up Phantom King,
it's surprisingly hard to find imagery of the Ghost.
It is actually.
Yeah, I had a really hard time trying to look up reference the other day.
Dang. Okay,
which is crazy because 4 seasons of a show, and you try to Google it, and you get nothing.
Right.
You mostly get fan art, which is very bizarre to me.
That is bizarre. Okay, so I did find a picture. Yeah, it does look like it docks in front first, just the way that the shape. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting because it's not. It's like it's totally flush with the ship, right? Like the first.
Yeah, you can't tell when it docks that way. Actually, both ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you prefer the Phantom 1 or the Phantom 2?
I like the Phantom 1, to be honest with you. I really like the way that the wings fold down. I always thought that was really cool, so that I could dock properly. I've been looking at getting a custom made one or building one myself.
Yeah, I think the cockpit's behind you somewhere.
Want me to grab it?
If you want.
That's right. We'll just talk about what's here.
Okay, so yeah, tell us a little bit about the set here.
Well, you're talking about the engines, so you may notice something. Take a look at those. Now I'll show you the new one from this year.
Oh, it's blue.
Yeah, they got the wrong color on it, and I don't know why. It's supposed to be orange.
Is it blue in Ahsoka?
I know it's not in the original show.
Can't remember.
In the animated series.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, at least you got the ship.
That's true. But it's funny. I don't know if they just didn't look it up, because most ships in Star Wars, it's blue.
You can replace it's Lego, right? It's Lego. You can replace it.
Is it mostly blue? I guess it's kind of all over the place.
It is. It's kind of all over the place.
X-Wings are pink.
The most of the Republic era ships are all blue.
Right. Maybe that's why then.
Yeah.
But this one, I know in the new set, they did add a bit of an interior, which you did not have in the original one.
Yeah. I don't have any interior. That is way more spacious.
Yeah.
Because my Ghost has no interior other than the cockpits and the turret. All of the parts that fold up are just storage compartments for blasters and the things that it shoots out.
Technically, the piece you just lifted, that storage in the front kind of wing that doesn't open anymore in these, really, as far as it goes. One whole panel here.
Can I compare your chopper minifigure? Let's compare minifigures.
Whip it out. There you go.
Yeah.
Is yours inside here somewhere?
No, it's right there behind you on the shelf, next to Ezra helmet.
Oh, you used the shrunk version.
So
you'll notice
yours is quite a bit more vibrant orange.
Flip on the back.
Oh, you actually have rear detailing.
Yeah, they started doing back printing on the droids. They didn't do that for years.
No, mine doesn't.
They just started doing that a few years ago.
Oh, that's so much better. Why didn't they do that?
I don't know, because I remember getting R2 in like '99, and yeah, it's just from the front, and I never questioned it until I saw this chopper minifigure.
The detail on the front is like on par. Like it's basically all the same stuff.
It's weird that they're different colors though.
It is. I feel like between these two oranges, if I were to just based off memory, like pick one on which one's more accurate, like it's weird because it kind of is between these two in the show,
right?
Because it is more leaning towards this orange.
Yeah, that was my thought.
But it's almost too
the other
orange.
one's kind of brown.
Yeah, this one's almost too. Mine is almost too brown. Like it's almost. If it had no other detailing and you didn't know who it was, you would think that this is a brown Lego piece, right?
Right.
So yeah.
No, what's funny is on the Phantom 2, they left a slot here. You can put
Chopper's head.
Yeah.
Nice.
There, takes head off. Right there. Oops. There you go. Screen accurate.
Nice.
Like the trailer.
Dang. Looking good.
Even more out of scale though.
Yeah, I'll let you put this one back.
Sure.
But yeah, it's that's cool to see. So who's all the minifigures that this set comes with?
So this one comes with.
Well, it comes with the Chopper, obviously.
Yeah, Chopper, and then it comes with Hera and Kanan's kid.
Oh yeah, Jason Syndulla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. The one that has and then didn't have green hair.
Yeah, I kind of
and elf ears.
I wish they had kept the green hair, to be honest with you. And it bothers me that they changed it for the live action.
You know, I think you can get an old. Can you get Jason Sindula as
Was there a
Lego
set?
figure?
I bet you it's that one with the $400 Ahsoka.
Dang, shots fired. No, yeah, you can't get him as a Lego figure. No, this is the first time they've made him, and they've made him with brown hair to match the show. But in the original Rebels show, he's green hair.
Yeah, I think they should have kept it like that because he's supposed to be half Twi'lek. I almost wish they had given him like really short, like head tails.
Okay, so which one of these is mine? So I'm looking at two Heras.
Yeah,
I'm looking at two
Heras.
Heras.
I know which one's which, but I want you to.
Oh yeah, okay. I know which one's yours. Yours is this one.
Yeah, that's
okay.
right.
So you have Hera. She's got the biggest difference is the logo on the back of her jacket, and the head tails print is much more clear than mine, which just seems to be all over the place.
10 years difference. I'm sure the printing quality has come up.
Yeah, yours is also. So she's wearing a rebel jacket with the rank on it of whatever she is at that point,
it's
commander or whatever.
Jedi.
Yeah, or General Syndulla. I think she is a general. And she's got the gun clips and everything like that. Mine's not wearing a jacket, so you can see the classic Lego, like, you know, the women's figure where it's like they printed hips.
Yeah, they started doing that where part of the print detail, like,
yeah, well, they've done that for a long time.
Them to make them just look more of a hourglass.
Yeah, and they did that for a long time. Like a lot of the Leia figures have that done as well.
I guess you're right. The only Leia figure I had was from Hoth, so she just had a big jacket on.
Right.
So
yeah,
they didn't do that for that one.
No, and I feel like I have some other figures that do have that as well. I don't know if Kira has that. Oh, you can see my Lego Bernadette from Big Bang Theory. That she has that as well. Yeah, so like it's been a very common thing that they do. But I have Ventress as well. I think that's just the same thing on Ventress.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, down there, but. Okay, yeah, that's cool. So Jason, Hera, and Chopper.
Oh, and there's one other character. I'm not exactly sure.
Is that Peli in there?
He was.
You put Peli in there?
That's the last character. Yeah, I think. Yeah, there he is.
Who's this?
So you have to look up the name because I forget.
Oh.
But I couldn't remember who he was in the show, and I haven't looked it up yet.
Yeah, he's like the attendant or something that's with Hera when she goes around. I think, just some rebel guy with short hair.
Yeah,
I like that hairpiece.
Like
that's very unique.
I like that too. Yeah, they did a really good job with that.
That's cool.
But he seemed like an odd choice.
Yeah,
because they could have put Ahsoka in here.
Yeah, or Hu Yang.
Or was Sabine ever on it? I think she was.
Yep.
There's so many options. Maybe they just didn't want.
I think it would have hiked up the price a lot more.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I think they wanted to put those characters in other sets, so you have to buy other sets.
True. Yeah, got to buy the Duel on Peridia set.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's why.
That's the gold mine. The Duel on Peridia. That's the gold mine of figures.
That's the investment set.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cockpit actually comes out, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
And something that they did a really neat idea with is do you recognize what they did for the throttle?
Oh, the Inquisitor's lightsaber?
It is.
Dang.
It looks pretty good in there too.
It makes for a really good control stick.
Just
like
some
a
extra
flight stick.
pieces on the end there.
That's awesome.
Worked really well. One thing that did annoy me is if you actually look at the sticker that's on both of these.
Yeah.
For some reason, they got the color wrong on the new one. It's like
it's
slightly
not white.
Transparent, so it makes it look blue instead of white.
I think I have some sets that do have that issue as well.
Are they newer stickers just cheaper?
Well, mine, no, I think that's not a sticker, right? Isn't that print on?
No, that's a sticker.
Oh, maybe that's why.
The bubble window is a print, but the top.
Oh, yeah, mine is a sticker.
They're both stickers, yeah. I was looking up online what was up with it. Yeah, so there's one of each. Also, what's funny is...
Just a misprint.
Even though... So on the bubble cockpit window, because I was very surprised by this.
Yeah.
So yours just has these two stripes, and mine has the extra gack on the sides. The Ghost doesn't actually have that extra gack. It is just the two straight lines.
Really?
Yeah. Unless they changed it for the show, but the animated one, two straight lines.
So mine captures the animated look much better then. But if yours is, because yours is targeting the audience of the Ghost from the Ahsoka, right?
Ahsoka, yeah, that's right.
I'm looking at a picture right now, and it does have those.
So they added that for
horizontal supports on that front globe window. Yeah.
See, okay, so that makes more sense then. But it makes me wonder then why did they change it?
I don't know, but going from animation to live action, there's always those small things that they have to unsimplify, right? Because I think when you go from live action to animation, you're taking something that has a lot of detail and lifelike detail and then simplifying it, right? And then going from something that doesn't exist in live action and going from animated to live action, you have to do the reverse. You have to almost add detail where there isn't detail, on the animated version. So it does always feed into that debate of like, okay, well, what's the most accurate way about doing this? And I think it's really just a matter of saying like, you know what? Sometimes that translation doesn't always go well. I mean, like, look at Cad Bane, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they nailed everything except the face.
That one they had reference because we've seen.
Yeah, that one I think there's a poor excuse for. But like, yeah, I mean, like other times like Zeb, when he showed up in the shows, my goodness, like he looked so good. And I think they just not only did they get the original voice actor, but they just fully CG'd him and everything. And he just looked so good. Like
they did a really good job with him, even though he's only like one shot.
They took this almost goofy looking animated Star Wars alien and they made him a believable live action character.
He looked really good. I was very disappointed he wasn't in the show more, to be honest with you.
I think he was really expensive.
Probably.
But yeah, it's one of those things I'm just like, it has its challenges, it's got its setbacks, but it also has its benefits. I mean, like, we got Zeb in live action. That surprised me more than almost anything else that season of Mando.
Well, he's in the trailer, wasn't he?
No.
He wasn't.
It's a surprise character that just kind of shows up at the bar
that makes more sense.
Talking with Kim's Convenience of all people,
That's right. I was expecting him just as a main character from the show who didn't die or disappear at the end of the series to be more involved.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed by that.
Yeah.
So something that did add was cool is this bar back here. So you watch the turret? It actually moves around.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool feature. I like that a lot.
They added a lot of function on the new one then.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff. And then there's these doors on the side, even though they don't exist on the Ghost.
Right.
And I think it's an excuse because neither of them have the actual door at the front.
Yeah,
it's supposed
too
to be
small.
That box at the front.
Yeah, that's like the hanger piece. Yeah.
So it always looks a little bit wrong from the front, which is annoying.
Well, it gets the message, When I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's the Ghost.
Yeah, that's true. It is recognizable. Do you notice that they got the profile wrong in the original? I had to look this up.
Yeah, it is supposed to just be like yours, like more
just a flat edge.
Just a flat edge, like
a hexagon.
Hexagon, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that in the original one. That always threw me off. For a while, I thought that's how it was supposed to be.
Yeah, no, it's overly simplified, I guess. Well, thanks for bringing that in.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That's cool to take a look at. I wanted to look at them side by side, so I figured might as well just do it on here.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully it's enjoyable to listen to. I have no idea. If not, feel free to. Hopefully you already did skip past this.
All right, we got one more thing for everybody. Let's transition and we'll be right back with you.
Another happy landing.
All right, so we got one more thing on the roster for tonight, and that is a doc which I actually made this for Kyle to bring to conventions and expos, whenever he's doing his thing with Kai Sabers, and it was just to kind of start conversation with fans and really just get the conversation going of Star Wars, at a lightsaber booth, which I thought was a cool idea. And it's just a way for him to engage with customers and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of a neat idea too. So it's a list of 20 questions. I sort of suggested at the top, I call it your Star Wars 2 cents, roll a D20, because there's 20 questions. So based on I said to him, you could play a game where they roll a dice and whatever number they get, they get that question. But for today, we're just going to go through the list and we'll try and...
Do we have time for all of them?
I think we'll try and make it short as possible, and then we'll wrap up. So we'll keep this under 10 minutes. So we'll just start with one. We'll each give our answer. Maybe take like 5 seconds to consider it, and then we'll spit out the answer. So number 1, did Mace Windu survive? Also, do you want him to survive?
This is such a hot topic for us, and we're going to be on complete polar opposite sides. Yes, I do believe he would have survived, and I would love him to return.
Okay.
And he's got to be some like badass like cyborg.
Okay, all right. I'm the complete opposite.
I know.
All right, number 2. Which Star Wars character has the coolest lightsaber hilt design and why?
Dooku for sure.
Oh yeah, that is a good
I love
answer.
Dooku's saber. Just it is very unique.
It is very unique, yeah. Yeah.
And why? Well, because it's the only curved saber.
Yeah.
And what's funny though is now that they've released, because of I believe the new Tales of the Jedi series, they showed his Jedi saber, which was also curved,
and also interesting.
It is interesting, but seeing them side by side in person, thanks to Kai sabers, I gotta say the Sith version is way cooler.
Yeah, well, it's got the metallic on it. That's what makes it cool looking.
The other one is also like the Jedi saber looks more clunky. Like
it does.
It's quite a bit bigger, which really threw me off.
Yeah,
like it makes his Sith dueling saber just look very sleek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very very sleek and nimble. Which that's pretty cool. That's a good answer. You know, the coolest is always
Anakin.
and this is not my favorite. No, I can't be my favorite. It's like who is the coolest? I do have my favorites, but who has the coolest design objectively? You know, I do think it's probably got to be like Maul or Dooku. I mean, I've always
always have the coolest sabers.
Yeah, I know, right? But like as far as
if you're considering the Maul saber, you could also consider the Temple Guard.
Yeah. Well,
which
no.
folds.
Here's the thing. Here's the reason why I think Maul has the coolest
Nutcracker saber
is because of all the buttons. Like I don't know.
Right.
Why
I don't know what the other two are for.
What does he need 4 buttons for? Like you know what I mean?
Maybe
like,
he splits in half and he can have 2 dual sabers like Paul Krell.
Well, that's the thing is like I think that is kind of the toys they've made that I think.
Did
like,
they? Oh,
like because you can everything, even the replicas. Like you can unscrew each half and use them separately.
Yeah.
But I think there is sort of this idea that maybe it was designed to function without the other half, right? Because Obi-Wan does slice it kind of in the middle, and one half dies on him and the other half still goes, right? So
maybe
it's 2 crystals in there. There's 2 separate sabers.
There is 2 crystals. So this isn't canon anymore. But in the Plagueis novel, which we reference way too often on the show, Palpatine was training Maul in combat, and he was supposed to just use a single saber. But behind his master's back, he actually welded 2 sabers together.
And then he started.
And so it was just literally 2 sabers that he welded together. So we see more finished product, but I do think it's still based on it being 2 sabers.
Yeah, he just gets used to that fighting style.
Yeah, and it was what's the guy's name now?
I think those details aren't from the Plagueis book, though. They must be from another story.
I'm pretty sure it's from the Plagueis book, where Palpatine talks about that. He's talking about that to Plagueis.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And they were saying that he really wants to, and he's continuously practicing in the specific Sith form, which was by, what's his name? The original Sith was
Exar
Kun. Thank you. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah, I think I do remember his name being dropped, I think. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So between those 2, I think, the villains have the coolest sabers for sure. Dooku's Sith lightsaber, big fan of that. Maul's lightsaber, big fan of that one too. All right. So if you built a lightsaber, what color would your blade be?
Kind of a classic question.
If you went to the caves of Ilum and
you don't get to
the
pick
crystal,
though, I think. Originally you would pick because it was based on your discipline.
Yes, in the EU, yeah. So in the canon, what do you think? What it's like the crystal chooses the Jedi kind of thing, like the wand chooses the wizard. Like what crystal color would pop out of your lightsaber?
Normally I would gravitate immediately towards Arctic blue because it looks the best on screen, but maybe I'll go for a cyan.
Nice. Nice. All right, cool. I think mine would probably be green. But
really, I thought you'd be blue. You're always a blue guy.
No, I do like blue. That's the thing. It's like I don't think I would. I've got the feeling I probably wouldn't get blue
because you want it.
Because I want it.
Just like how you had to do that Harry Potter test 5 times to get Gryffindor.
I did not. But yeah, that is the I like blue as a preferred lightsaber color, but I think I would get green. I do like the idea of green anyways, but like that's the one I think I would get. All right.
Cyan is a mix between green and blue, by the way.
Yes, no, I knew what you're talking about.
Okay. Because specifically from I think it's KOTOR 2, I would always use that.
Gotcha. If you were a character of any kind in Star Wars, which era would you exist in? And here's your choices: Dawn of the Jedi, the Old Republic, the High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, the New Republic, Rise of the First Order, or a New Jedi Order. We're going off the Disney canon era labels here.
What would I be in the universe? Do I get to pick?
You can be any character of any kind you can just be a regular Joe, just be a regular guy. But which era would you like to thrive and live your life in?
I see what you're saying. I think we talked about this before.
Could be the age you are right now, if it helps. Picture.
I feel like we've talked about this before, and I had settled on, I thought the most interesting time period would be a Jedi during the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting as well. It also might be like complete hell.
Yeah, it would be for sure. Unless you're someone like Anakin who just thrives on it.
You see, on one side of things, I'm like, okay, well, first off, I mean, who would not choose to be a Jedi? And yes, I would choose to be a Jedi during that time period in the Clone Wars. But on the other hand, I would also think I would love to be just like a very like not stingy but like very wealthy individual on Naboo, you know,
okay,
with like a nice nice vineyard, just like a business
or like
guy.
a trust fund child,
just like a business guy. Okay. You know, I've got selling wine, and you know, maybe, have this nice vineyard everywhere.
Oh, you could be the CEO of the company that makes all the ships for the Queen.
Yeah, something like that. Who knows, right? I don't know. Like I just that would also be like.
That'd be an interesting job.
Pretty baller, yeah. Okay, if you had to live,
I would say.
Oh, and sorry for that option. I would say the High Republic. You know, because then it's like kind of safe and nothing bad is really happening on Naboo. Yeah.
But think of the business opportunities of the war.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Everyone's itching to get that wine during
Maybe
the Clone
you could be
Wars.
a member of the banking clan. Play both sides.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't choose Age of Rebellion or New Republic because around that time period, that's when Palpatine tries to like nuke his entire homeworld with those solar satellite dishes or whatever. But
yeah, I wouldn't want to be Naboo.
Operation Cinder, everybody.
I will say though, I've always thought the camaraderie of the rebels during the Age of Rebellion would always be like a really good place to be.
Just be a rebel.
Luke
just
seems
a grunt.
Luke seems like a pretty happy dude during that section whenever you check in on him.
Yeah.
Probably amongst the pilots.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
As opposed to the ground troops. Sounds a lot worse.
Playing Sabak with Dak.
That's right.
You
still owe me credits.
If you had to live on one Star Wars planet for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Well, you said Naboo.
Yeah. I already answered that one. Alderaan.
I feel like the problem is both of these planets, you can't live on them forever, depending on when you're alive, I guess.
That's the thing, right? Yeah.
The pretty planets always get blowed up.
Yeah. I mean, like, Alderaan is amazing. Like,
the mountain views.
Yeah. I mean, I probably would pick that if it didn't blow up.
I guess it depends on era. Well, not Hoth.
I probably would. Honestly, I probably would pick Alderaan, actually. Like, because you can, shred the slopes on Alderaan. Whereas, like...
Do they ski? Do we know that? Is that a thing in Star Wars?
They got snow mountain I'm sure they ski. Yeah.
Have we ever seen that in the animated series or anything?
Honestly, no. But if they've got, like, Star Wars mopeds, I'm sure they've got a ski or a snowboard kicking around somewhere, Probably with jets on the back. like Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet.
That's not even skiing, man. You're just flying.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like, maybe it would be like jet aided or something like that.
And then you're thinking Agent Cody Banks.
Yeah, that's right. Agent Cody Banks.
Obscure reference.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, if I don't want to be war torn, I feel like it's got to be something like Alderaan.
Yeah. Because we'd all end up in the same spot and all die together.
That's true.
So which
maybe I'll choose to have the rough life and I'll be a moisture farmer on Tatooine.
Brutal. Which Star Wars movie is your favorite, and what is one thing you wish was different
in that movie?
Your
favorite one.
Choose A New Hope, and you choose to not blow up Alderaan.
I feel like that's becoming a running theme. Blow up something else.
Yeah.
See ya, Kashyyyk. Well, my favorite movie is Empire Strikes Back because that's the one I always gravitated towards, even as a youngling.
All right, what's one thing you would change?
That's the thing, is that's a hard one to change.
That's the question.
Yeah, I know. I remember specifically when we were listening to fans at Kyle's booth, someone got asked this, and they also got pretty stumped.
Yeah.
Because I could pick things to change in most of them. Empire Strikes Back is a tough one, though, because it's such a good film.
I would probably...
You talk. I'm going to think on it for a
I would probably pick... my favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith. What I wish was different, first off, this might be a little cliche, but I wish the movie was longer and showed more of that struggle of Anakin and Palpatine, because I feel like in the movie you just don't get enough of it, right? And that's the good stuff. Like that's some people say that's one of the best scenes in the movie, was like at the Opera House, right? So I would choose more of those kind of moments through the film, but I would also choose to extend the Order 66 thing. I mean, I think there's so much more that movie could have offered, and in the proof of like where that argument comes from is the fact that both Clone Wars and Bad Batch, 2 shows, overlap Revenge of the Sith in terms of like events. And then in live action shows, Obi-Wan and The Mandalorian have both gone back to that movie as well and painted even more detail of what's happening with certain characters at this time, right? With Reva flashbacks, Grogu flashbacks, escaping the Jedi Temple, all that stuff. So I think the movie had a lot of room, and even now almost has more reason to expand. They could do another Revenge of the Sith and have it be overlapping the entire original movie and have it be totally awesome, right? So anyway, that's fair. That's what I would change about it.
They should have done a Lord of the Rings style extended edition. It's like 6 hours.
Yeah, I would have been down for that. It's expensive though.
It would be,
That's probably why they didn't do it.
Most likely. I think it's funny. I'm looking very deep into my past here. There was a point in time, like when I was quite young, my favorite was Empire Strikes Back, and there was a brief moment in time where I actually preferred Return of the Jedi, and specifically because that movie has both a land battle and a space battle, where Empire doesn't really have a space battle. You get the asteroid chase, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
So maybe I would say I would like to add that, as long as it doesn't become too much of a distraction.
Right.
Also, just kind of pondering here while you're talking, don't really see Wedge in that movie. So
put Wedge back in.
Yeah, just have, even if it's just something small, more than a cameo, but less than a side plot.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right. Which of the 7 lightsaber forms is your favorite and personal choice in battle? Is it Form 1, Juyo? Yep. Simple, effective. All Jedi learn this first and can master it. Form 2 is Makashi, which is the dueling focused, nearly unbeatable. Dooku uses this one. Form 3 is Sora Su, highly defensive. Kenobi uses this. Form 4 is Ataru, acrobatic, dueling focused, very much Qui-Gon, Ahsoka, and Yoda. Form 5, Xian and Gemso, which is very aggressive and offensive. It's something that Anakin uses. We got Jar-Kai Neman, which is two-handed, deadly, and Darth Revan, Darth Vader, and Ahsoka are all trained in this. And we got Form 7, which is Juya and Vapad, 2 different things there. Aggressive, empowered, fueled, Maul, Insidious, and Mace all use that.
Juyo/Vapad. But I thought those were 2 different forms, though. There's fireworks out there. I don't know if you can hear anything.
Yeah, we can hear some fireworks right now. All right, so which one would you pick?
Like I kind of burst out Juyo/Vapad because it's, in my opinion, always been the coolest.
Vapad, okay.
Mace Windu's such a badass.
Yeah, very aggressive, empowered, fueled.
I thought those were 2 different forms, though.
They are. Juyo and Vapad are both different forms, but
why are they both considered Form 7 then?
I think it's just like one of them is a variant of the other, and they're also used by different characters. And
Vapad was Mace Windu. Once you mentioned it, I recognized it.
Yeah.
So then who uses Juyo?
I think it's Maul and Sidious, maybe.
Okay, I'll go with Vapad then.
Okay. I do like how Gemso looks on screen, but I think Ataru is also pretty sweet. I love acrobatic fighting styles. It's just, I'm a sucker for it. I love things like, so I watched a show called Into the Badlands, produced by the same guys that do another favorite show of mine, which is Smallville. Amazing show. Gets kind of cheesy towards the end, but amazing show. When you first start, if you're a big sucker of like those kind of, old school martial art kind of things, right? Was very interesting to look at. So yeah, I think I would probably go Ataru/Gem. So form 4 and 5. Okay, what is your favorite starship in Star Wars and why, if you have a reason?
What's funny is I was talking to you about this off mic or off air. It's actually VCX 100.
The Ghost.
Yeah, which is the Ghost, which was funny because we're talking about it.
It's kind of a one of a kind too. You
It's
never
really
see
cool.
any other VCX 100s in Star Wars. Like,
no,
ever.
but admittedly, I have this issue in Star Wars with their iconic ships, which kind of started with the issue with the Falcon, where it's supposed to be a commonplace ship and you never see it anywhere else.
Yeah. I totally get you.
It's like it's supposed. I think originally it was supposed to be like the Honda Civic of ships.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Okay. But if you look at Lando's iteration of the Falcon, that's what that's supposed to look like, right?
I thought he modified it pretty heavily.
Well, I mean, it's dressed up a little bit, but like the shape and everything, the escape pod in the middle,
Did
I
he
think
modify the escape pod into the mandibles, or does it come like that from?
okay,
Corellian?
if I was to take a guess, I would say, because I don't know if it's down in a resource book somewhere, but I know that the VCX 100 is older than the Falcon. I think.
I'm surprised by that.
Someone can shoot me an email and tell me I'm wrong, but I thought that was the case. When it comes to the Falcon, I think that's how it's supposed to look. Maybe not super like renovated on the inside with like, he's got all
You're talking with the Lando version.
The Lando version, yeah. Like on the inside, it's crazy. It's like this like nice, luxurious hotel, which gets slowly worn down over the years by
There's a whole
Solo.
storage room used for capes.
Yeah, his cape closet. Yeah, so like, I mean, obviously he's done a few things in there, but I think that's generally the outside shape and profile is kind of how it's supposed to look. And because it's newer, I think they kind of sort of improved.
It's supposed to be a prequel era, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be like a prequel era ship because it's supposed to be old by the time that Solo is driving it around, right?
What a piece of junk.
Yeah, it's a piece of junk by then. It's supposed to be new in the prequel era, right? So yeah, they did a good job of like making it look that way. Like,
by the way, in the prequels, there is one Easter egg where you see the fall.
Right, and it's the one from the original trilogy.
It is the original trilogy version. It's
yeah,
not
just a little Easter egg.
Yes.
Yeah. Pre-Disney stuff, but yeah, my favorite's the Naboo N1 Starfighter, and this has long been the case. Like way before the Mando version came out and made it even more badass. But like I've always loved this ship. I love the sound that it makes.
That's true.
I
It's
love
very nimble.
the sleek profile. Yeah. I love the Doug Chang design of that ship. I've always loved it. I've got this.
He did a good job because I remember one of the behind the scenes. George was trying to go after like a retro, like essentially like a Lamborghini, like a really fancy, like sleek car.
Yeah, and it fits so well with the design aesthetics in the Naboo culture.
Ferrari.
Like the N1, when you look at it and the screens and their lettering and language that they use and like the buildings and everything's got this like roundish kind of bubbly refined look, and I don't know, it's just all so nice, and I just love the Naboo kind of everything. Yeah. Like it's such a cool.
All the Italian, maybe that's why it looks like it's Ferrari.
Maybe,
it was all filmed.
Right, yeah, that's true. Actually,
in Italy.
That's very true. Yeah, Lamborghini and Ferrari. Whatever.
Ferrari as well, yeah.
Yeah, super sick ship. I was very glad when they fitted
pretty cool.
the Mandalorian as a in a Naboo, and I was so happy about that I saw that ship again, and that the fact that they made it look like a cool monsterish version of it. Oh,
yeah, it's a hot rod version.
Good. It was
right?
right when the Legos had come out, I went to the store and bought it.
Just immediately.
Immediately, yeah. I was like, I'm sold.
It's pretty cool. I was very happy that they brought it back as well.
Yeah, it brings me back.
I don't know how I feel about adding the second bubble at the back instead of the droid port, but
well, it's to fit Grogu, I guess.
I know, I get it. Also, it's not really practical.
It's not really no.
Could you imagine being in a car ride with an infant and you gotta sit in your car for like
I think it's just
hours?
So that he's got a space to crawl behind the seat and kind of pop up and look through the window, so that he's not like just constantly on his lap all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it
like
makes
a little
sense.
bedroom.
Sorry.
He can just fall asleep back there.
Sorry, I meant the whole ship itself isn't practical.
Oh yeah, no,
But it's the same issue with like Luke's X-wing, which I was thinking about while thinking about like this like Mando ship, because like the Falcon or whatever, you can get up, you walk around, there's a lounge, these bigger ships, right? Because if you're in hyperspace, unless you're just going one planet over, can you be in your ship for like 30 hours?
I don't. It's always been really hard to. That's where the fantasy side of Star Wars comes into play. Whereas if you compare it to like the likes of Halo or other science fiction series that give you this idea of how long it'll really take to get for how many light years, Star Wars has always been a bit more of a mystery. It's always been like, you're in hyperspace, it'll take so many hours to get where you're going, and and
A lot of times they go
whatever.
to bed.
I mean, well, sometimes like in the books and stuff, yeah. But like in a lot of the shows, they kind of cut to the chase and they just cut out the middle part.
But
right?
because I'm trying to think to A New Hope before they get pulled out of hyperspace by the Death Star.
Where Luke trains for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, because yeah, it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like they had alluded to how long it would take.
I don't know. I can't remember exactly that. But that's the thing. They always are very vague about it intentionally, and I think it's kind of a smart choice because as much as we'd like maybe sometimes want to know more about it, it's like it cuts that part out of the equation. I guess they can just. Because there's new Star Wars stories that come out all the time. They always make new planets. Like the Star Wars galaxy is littered with hundreds and hundreds of planets. It's almost like, in our solar system, there's like...
You can be the first one to see them all.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I get that you have there's a whole galaxy out there and everything like that. But can you imagine how tough it would be to like... Because there's maps and stuff they've been making for years. And it's like, can you imagine how tough it would be to like retroactively make, distant, proper kind of like, okay, it takes X amount of time for this person to go from here to there. Certain hyperspace engines and stuff do it at different speeds. And then now all of a sudden you have these overlapping issues throughout the entire multimedia stories of like, oh, well then how is this possible when that person got from here to there in time for this event to happen and whatever, right? Like it's just like at that point you just start.
You have to be
asking,
so anal about like timing of everything in the universe. To do any sort of
I'm just glad that they just leave it out because it's like we don't need that.
Yeah,
I'm more about the fantasy inside of Star Wars than the science fiction. So, and I think most of us are. I think that's what grabs Star Wars fans as Star Wars fans because like it's that fantasy level of storytelling, the mystery of the Force, and all these like crazy like knights and princesses and all that.
It's an excuse to have cool stuff in space.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not a dragon. It's a crate dragon or a rancor.
Right.
Like there's so many parallels between Star Wars and fantasy as a genre. And you can make a direct comparison for everything. And it's like it's really weird once you put the Star Wars skin over top of like a King Arthur tale and go that could work in Star Wars.
Right.
Like it's
you just
pretty nuts.
wrap space around stuff.
Yeah, you just wrap Star Wars over top of a fantasy tale and you got a Star Wars movie almost. Anyways. Okay, so Kiss, Marry, Kill with Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch.
Oh, it took me a second to figure out what you were even talking about. Star Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch. This is a weird question.
Would you rather Kiss, Marry, Kill with Padme, Leia, or Rey?
Oh my goodness. No, let's stick to the first question.
That's what I thought. Okay, I would kiss Clone Wars, kill Rebels. Sorry, no. I would marry Clone Wars, kiss Bad Batch, kill Rebels.
I think I would just swap Bad Batch and Rebels.
Okay, so you kill Bad Batch.
Marry Clone Wars, kiss Rebels, and
kill Bad Batch.
Kill Bad Batch.
Actually, you know what?
Weird question.
No, I agree with that. Okay, screw it. Yeah, we'll kill Bad Batch.
It wouldn't even get into Resistance.
Oh man, yeah. Well, that would have made it too easy. I think.
Depends.
Would you marry or kiss Resistance and get rid of Rebels or Clone Wars?
Depending on what the third option is, I would consider kissing Resistance because I actually did enjoy that.
Okay, here's a tougher question.
It was just
Kiss,
like
Marry,
really
Kill with
low-key.
Tales of the Jedi, Bad Batch, and Resistance.
And Young Jedi Adventures.
No. Can only have 3.
Okay, so we're doing it again. So what are they now?
So Tales of the Jedi,
yeah,
Bad Batch, and Resistance.
Oh, okay, see, that's more interesting of a question. Actually, no, because it's tough because like I have such mixed feelings on Bad Batch. I feel like I would still in that case.
You still kill it?
No, I wouldn't. No, I would have to kill Resistance.
Yeah,
because it is the worst of the 3, just from a story standpoint.
Right.
Because I enjoyed the just throw something on low key tone of Resistance.
Right. Low stakes.
Yeah, and it expanded a lot of cool stuff from that time period.
It did,
which I really liked.
I was appreciative of that as well.
Yeah. I wish they actually did more of the racing, which they didn't do nearly enough, considering that's what was advertised. Yeah, so it would be marry Tales of Jedi, kiss Rebels, or Bad Batch, excuse me, and then
kill Resistance. Okay.
But if you threw in Tales of Jedi, this whole thing gets all stirred up.
Yeah. Okay, what is your favorite John Williams Star Wars track?
I've always really liked the asteroid chase theme from Empire, but I'm gonna have to say it gets me in the there's 2 songs, right? There's 2 songs that really get me in the feels. It's Across the Stars
from Attack of the Clones.
And Binary
Sunset.
Yeah, which is the Force theme. Both.
Yeah.
So it's a toss up between those two, and I feel like they hold the same place in my heart for each section of the saga.
Okay, and that's tracks, not just because you can put in a track, not theme. Like that's the track that you want to go with.
Well,
like on a soundtrack.
It'd be a
That's the
theme
one.
too, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Same thing in this case.
Okay, because mine is a bit of a cheat, but I think I would go with the Revenge of the Sith end credit scene.
Oh, I almost
the end credit track, because he has almost every theme from Star Wars in that final track.
That you can't as a cheat.
And not across the stars.
You can't pick
not
that.
Not across the stars. It doesn't have that, but it does have
That's not
Leia's
even-
theme. It does
We
have.
did do that in one recording. No, you can't pick that.
It's one track. Yeah, it's a track.
That's why you're being
Okay, if not that though, I would pick my second option. I just love Duel of Fates.
Yeah,
I love Duel of Fates a lot.
more than Battle of the Heroes.
You know what? Battle of the Heroes has never been high on my list.
Really?
Yeah, I've
Even
never.
though that's probably
even
your
though
favorite
it
fight scene in the
works so
whole series.
well, it works so well in that battle in that sequence. Yeah, but the other theme that overlaps with that.
Yeah.
The cool version that overlaps with Battle of the Heroes is Duel of Fates, and that's playing with Yoda and Sidious.
That's right. Yeah.
So I've always just loved Duel of Fates. It's played three times in the prequels. It's played 3 times because it's also played in one of the best songs in episode 2, which is called Return to Tatooine. And that's the song that plays when Anakin is speeding off into the sunset to rescue his mother.
I've always loved that.
And it's such
it's
it's so good. And it's and that version is my favorite because that's the version that has like a different choir that recorded it. And if you listen to the 2 back to back, I actually prefer the one from Attack of the Clones, but it's only a small segment. It's not the whole song.
Right.
So I really like that one. But yeah, there's a lot of love I have for Duel of Fates.
That's fair. I probably wouldn't pick it, but I definitely want to do a shout out mention because I love it and they've never officially released it and it still bothers me to this day. And that is the opening Star Wars theme with the war drums.
For episode 3.
Yeah. Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, they never released that officially. Yeah,
because they obviously. I shouldn't say obviously, but my thoughts are what they did because I don't know for sure. But this is my understanding of how it happened. Is I think they added the war drums in post.
Yeah,
and that was never originally recorded.
Right,
but it works so well, especially for that scene.
Yeah, or maybe they did the one for the movie and then it was modified for the soundtrack because that happens
No, I don't
too.
think so. I don't think so because if they recorded it originally, I think they would have put it out in the soundtrack. So I think they recorded just the original theme and then added it in post, and then because it was only in the sound edit, it never made it all the way to the soundtrack release.
That's a question to ask John Williams if anyone ever sees him.
I would be very curious to figure that out. If he doesn't know what you're talking about, then it probably wasn't him. That's probably the easiest.
the obvious answer.
Yeah.
Okay, here's number 11. Who shot first?
Well, Han Solo.
It was Greedo.
I still think Han Solo's arc works better if he shoots first.
People would kill me if I said Greedo. I feel like I'll try.
I feel like there's a small group of Greedo fans out there.
Try and take the majority here.
Can you pick simultaneously, which is what they've been trying to do for a while now.
Yeah, exactly. If you watch the movie between 2004 and 2006, you can say that. Yeah.
They're both dirtbags.
Pick any character to be your Jedi Master. Who and why?
Let's be honest. Qui-Gon's probably the best Jedi Master if you wanted to just be a well-trained Jedi.
Yeah.
And be an actual Jedi and not caught up in the politics of it.
Right. Yeah.
Or do you want to really live life on the edge and train under Dooku while he was a Jedi?
It's not a bad idea. Because Dooku, Qui-Gon turned out really well.
Yeah.
And he's like the best Jedi ever. And
Liam Neeson's a special guy.
He trained under Dooku, but yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, Dooku, I mean, yes, what happened to him was unfortunate. But if you look at the legacy of that trainee, Dooku was directly chosen and trained by Yoda, just in the same way that Anakin would have been Qui-Gon's apprentice, but in the same way that Obi-Wan trained Anakin. And it's ironic that both of their apprentices turn to the dark side and become Sith Lords, and both of those Jedi survive the Purge.
That's true.
It's a really crazy, when you look at the lineage, the legacy that Anakin talks about to Ahsoka. She is part of that legacy. She is the last part of that legacy that exists
She survived both purges.
Because Luke is very much he's kind of self-trained, right? he is different in a different way. Like, yes, he briefly trained with Obi-Wan. Yes, he briefly trained with Yoda, but he was never their apprentice.
I will say that actually has become one thing that has started to annoy me. Is with the fleshing out of everything else, Luke needing to do so little to officially become a Jedi at the end. Right. It feels like a participation award.
I think that's where like some of the comics have like filled in the gaps and kind of given light to how he learned certain things, and some of the books that we've read.
The last thing he does is build his own saber.
Yeah, well, that's in episode 6. You know, he puts the finishing touches on his own green lightsaber there, but
and that's why Vader's like, at last your training is complete.
Yeah, because he knows at that point so much more, right? But yeah, I mean, the legacy of the Skywalker kind of thing, it's very interesting, you know, when you think about it. You know, starting with Yoda to Dooku to Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan to Anakin to Ahsoka, right? That direct lineage of trainee kind of, you know, Jedi master and apprentice thing. It's hard to, like, those are the obvious ones. I think I would choose my master though. Maybe Quinlan Vos.
Just throw picks
I don't know, like
Paul Krell.
I mean, like, what the heck? All right, like, it's a tough question to answer. I mean, I feel like, but anyway, what I was saying before is like, I don't think any one of those, if you pick Dooku, it's not that you're going to be a bad Jedi or anything like that. It's the same way. It's like, if you pick Anakin, it's not like you're going to be a bad Jedi. The greatest Jedi have always come from those who've turned to evil. Like
that
Ahsoka and Qui-Gon, right? Both great Jedi, because they know what not to do, but they also know how to combat dealing with those things that their masters struggle with.
Right. And they'll be more self-aware to the political issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas I feel like
they're more wise because of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because their masters were sensitive about those things. Yeah. Very interesting to think about.
We're not very good at answering these questions quickly.
No, we aren't.
I might need to split it until the next one.
We're almost done. So you have just one question for George Lucas. What would you pick?
Oh my goodness.
Why did you sell the company, George?
Did you add the boardrooms to...
I've got one for George. I've got so many for George, but here's just one recently that I've been thinking about. Why was there this very obvious change in lightsaber design for Anakin's very iconic lightsaber that becomes Luke's lightsaber? Why was it different, right? Like in the prequels, I get that it needs to be shinier and more prequely, I guess, but like, why not just keep it the same, you know, with the little cutouts on the bottom of the rubber grips or the way that the buttons look? You added that stark red button in there, like should have been white or silver or whatever, but like, you know, what was the request for doing that?
I think that's an obvious answer because George kept going back and changing the original trilogy with the special editions.
Yeah.
So I think it was he was constantly wanting to improve his work.
Yeah. So he kind of regrets using just a blatant Graflex as a lightsaber hilt.
I think so. Because let's be honest, when they made the original hilts is because they were on a very tight budget. Yeah. That's why they were just camera parts.
I think my other big question, which long-term listeners of the podcast might already know, but I would also ask him just what would you have done with the sequels? Like, you know, like obviously he had a plan. What more details of that story can you provide, you know, based on what we've got already, just in little things that he said? But like, it just sit me down for like 5 hours. Tell me your story. You know, tell me what you would have done with Luke, with Leia, with Solo, with Chewie, with the grandchildren of Anakin Skywalker. You know, like tell me the story, and I would be the most attentive listener. You know, there's nothing would pull me away from that conversation. That would be fascinating.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I think I would like to ask him, but I haven't put enough thought into like if I can only ask A1 and B like. Because the thing is, I don't know if there's ever been one question that I've ever wanted to just specifically ask him. I've more just wanted to get to know him as the maker of Star Wars and kind of know him more on like a personal level of kind of his history of how he started off as this kind of like small town kid or whatever, and then kind of went into Hollywood because he loved films, and then going from, you know, his indie film to American Graffiti to making the original Star Wars and just not liking the politics of Hollywood.
Right.
And then I've been really interested in him as a person and his journey and just his perspective on stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't think that can be boiled down to one question.
No,
I feel like it'd be expensive. Like at least an afternoon, maybe a weekend. But the hard part is, I don't think he would ever want to do that with anybody.
There's one question.
Because he's just
for
not
him.
that type of person. That's the to me, this is the hardest part. Is I would want to do that on the level of being like a genuine friend who would be perfectly honest with, and not someone answering questions for a reporter or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And because he is such a, from what my understanding of him is, he is a very like introverted person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of anyone. I'm sure someone is on a level to do that, but it is to be such a very small niche group that I don't think I would ever be able to do that.
Right. Yeah. The Empire has come to your world. Do you take up the rebellion or join the Academy?
Well, the rebellion.
Okay. I would. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that I would take up rebellion. You can visit only any real world Star Wars filming site. Where would you go?
Real world.
Yeah. So you go on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
You can see one location for something. What would you pick?
I've always been interested in Tunisia, but I might pick.
I would pick the Royal Palace.
That's from Naboo.
Theed. Yeah.
That's what I was
Theed
getting.
Palace.
That's what I was getting about to say. Yeah, is in Italy there for that. Did they? I never looked into this. When they filmed Mos Espa, was there any of that on location somewhere, or was that all sets?
Mos Espa from
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Yes, it was a lot of. I think there were sets done for that,
Mm-hmm.
but
Like
they
the whole-
also did. I think they also filmed in Tunisia.
I probably want to go to Tunisia then, because like
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking Tunisia was more or less just the Lars homestead, but if it's also Mos Eisley and Mos Espa, I would want to go there.
I think they did.
Yeah,
both,
because I know I've looked into like the
because I know they had trouble with the pod racer engines and some weather chaos that happened there, if I'm not mistaken.
okay, because I know Ben's hut is there, but it's basically nothing left of it. And the Lars homestead was 2 different locations that were edited to look like one place.
Yeah.
because it's actually someone's house,
Right.
which was pretty cool. But then the dome from the exterior was somewhere else.
I think it's a hotel or something that you can stay.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
like It's like a
it's actually like sunken like that, which is super cool.
and you can stay there.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe.
weird though, because
Yeah.
if you look at it, at least from the image I saw from like a wider angle, there's just like regular houses around it.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Okay. What's your favorite Star Wars video game and why? Which platform did you play it on?
Oh goodness. Probably the original KOTOR, maybe KOTOR 2.
PC?
I played on Xbox.
Xbox. Okay. Republic Commando is always my favorite. I played
a
that
good
on
one.
PC CD-ROM. Good game. Yeah. What's the second favorite? I gotta say the new Droid Army from Game Boy Advance.
I never played that.
Such a good game.
Because it depends if you want to go for story or just gameplay. Because I always really loved the original Battlefront. I always played Battlefront 2 from the original Xbox. But I would probably go with the first Force Unleashed game.
Okay.
I really liked that.
I have good memories of that too. Yeah.
That was like as far as like gameplay in Star Wars universe, that was like a huge step forward in like what you could do.
Yeah.
As a Jedi.
I think I played that one on Nintendo DS. I think I had that one on DS, not Game Boy.
Oh, I played it on Xbox 360.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Back when they released games like that on so many different,
Such
different games.
And I hate to say it, but the Nintendo one was always like the really low res version.
Yeah, of course.
But they added an extra segment of the game to it was the Wii version.
Yes, it was like their dual thing. You could like dual like a side-scrolling Street Fighter dueling mode or whatever, right?
Oh, is that what it was?
I thought that's what it was. It was something like that.
Hey, what was that? They made like a fighting game with like all Star Wars characters.
Yeah, Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur had
They had Yoda in there and Obi-Wan and
Darth
Vader.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. I thought there was one that was just them.
It was like a fighting game that threw in Star Wars characters for
So
some reason. Like it was really weird.
Dude, I tried to play. So this is going way back. When I was in like elementary school, my cousin lent us his Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Eventually we got one. So maybe it was the one that we got. And it came with the game I actually really loved and played all the time, which was Super Mario World. But we also had a Return of the Jedi game, which was supposed to just play through the movie. And dude, that game was so hard. I never beat the first level. It was incredibly difficult. And maybe it'd be, easier now with more gaming experience. But back then, man, like...
Actually, you know what? I find some of those retro games are very tough.
They're very unforgiving.
Because it's also like the controls that you use are really janky.
I think it's also 'cause each time you would die, you'd have to pay another quarter.
Oh, that too. Oh, jeez. What's your favorite Star Wars book, comic, or audiobook and why?
probably have to go with Plagueis because it just fleshed out.
That's my obvious.
So much detail.
Yeah, it's. I think that it's so tough because like I love that and I love Dark Disciple as well. That I always say that Dark Disciple is my favorite canon book and Plagueis is my favorite EU Legends book. But yeah, comic book series. I gotta say Darth Vader, the original Charles Soule's run. He's doing stuff still, but yeah, such a great series.
A few more mentions I'd say worth mentioning. I always really liked the original Thrawn trilogy because I would say pretty much anything by Timothy Zahn is worth reading. Yeah, honestly, just been so good. Except I didn't enjoy the new Thrawn series as much.
The canon ones.
Yeah, it felt to me like it was too limited to what he could actually do because it had to fit in the box of the canon.
Had to fit in the Rebels box.
Yeah, which really. It didn't feel.
Did you read the new ones? Like the second new trilogy did, which was the prequel trilogy?
No, I only read the original.
The Ascendancy trilogy. It's about his time in the Chiss Ascendancy.
I didn't finish the original one, so I just kind of stopped it altogether.
Okay, all right, interesting.
I couldn't do it, which is funny because I love the original Thrawn from his original series. That really bummed me a lot, if I'm honest.
Is that because it was more grand in the sense that it did have other characters like Luke and the original characters in there?
I think so, and.
Because those weren't just about Thrawn, whereas the new books are just about Thrawn.
But I really liked Thrawn in the original ones. And I think part of it was because he was just the bad guy.
He was just the villain.
It wasn't, maybe this is getting into weird. It wasn't just on him all the time, which it felt like it maybe overfleshed him out. Whereas originally he was this new villain that was not a Force user. It was still very deadly, still very interesting. Yeah. And it just felt like he didn't fit in the box of Star Wars as much. But like, not to say he shouldn't be there, but like what we were used to. Right. And he was fleshed out just enough. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I would say that. And then I'll probably go with this is really was too bad it's November now, but the original Death Troopers, the first one.
Oh yeah.
I always really liked that book. That's probably the only Star Wars book I listen to an audiobook. The only one I've done more than once.
And it's specifically audiobook.
You could probably read it, but they did a really good job with the audiobook.
Because of all the sounds and stuff, right?
Yeah, with all the sound effects. I don't know if I've mentioned this in podcast
Get you creepy.
Before. Yeah, I was listening to it one time on my way to a flight to go home for Christmas, and the sound effects and the train and everything. Like I started feeling like I was getting faint, and there's no chairs. I was standing. I had to sit down in my bag. And I felt like I was gonna pass out. I had to take a break because I think it was just like too many senses or whatever. But yeah, I always put that too. Man, it's a good book.
Dang. What is your favorite Star Wars Lego set, or if not Lego, what's your favorite action figure?
It's tough because there's a lot of really good ones.
Tough because it's like
it also depends what you want to go for. Like, are you going because there's sets that I haven't purchased, but I always would have liked to have gotten. Right. But I don't know if that would count.
Like, what's the most fun build quality and stuff like that?
I haven't gotten it, but I really like the new the new high end. I'm blanking on the name now. UCS, excuse me. Okay. Yeah. The new UCS AT-AT. Right. I always thought that was really cool. I was looking at getting a high end one, but the thing is, I can't justify spending that much money on
That's crazy. Yeah. The thing is nuts though.
But I have the original one that they did back in like 2005 or whatever. Right. And because for a long time that was always like my favorite like specific vehicle from Star Wars.
I was always of the I was very much more of like a hands-on player with my Lego. Like I built it once, never disassembled it, and then I played with my sets all the time.
I used to do home videos all the time. Yeah. Before with digital cameras, so you'd have to hit record and then pause really quickly, and then move them, and then record and pause. And so like the frames wouldn't always be one frame; they'd be like different lengths of time. So it's like super janky.
Yeah. No, I was like that. Lots of building once, never again. I always just kind of been in one piece. So as a kid, my favorite was that the Anakin yellow speeder from Attack of the Clones from the beginning of the films, right behind you on that shelf over there.
Interesting. I remember that set. I never bought it because I thought it was too expensive for what you get.
It was just a little speeder, but it came with Zam Wesell speeder and stuff. Yeah. I always hated that speeder because the wings always fell off, and it was designed to do that. Like the green Zam Wesell speeder, which is up there. Yeah, the wings were designed to kind of slide right off, but I actually modified it so that they were just stuck on. But in the movie,
modified with glue.
No, just with bricks. Yeah, with the set of bricks. I just modified it slightly so it just can't, like, the mechanism didn't work to release them.
Okay.
But in the movie, when she crashes the speeder, they only just get crumpled. They don't actually
as the
fall
front
off.
end gets crumpled.
Yeah, I guess they thought it would be fun if, like, oh, the wings can fly off. It's like, yeah, but
That's
now anytime I pick this up, it just I accidentally pull this thing back. It's like an elasticated system, and they just fell right off. So I was less fond of that, even though green's my favorite color. I love the solid thing, like that yellow Anakin. I would toss that across my room onto the floor. Maybe one piece would fall off, which is usually the headlights, which are metallic cups.
Yeah, you had a couple of those from back in the day too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was a really cool ship. Now I would say, because I love the Mando N1, as you know, but something weirdly nostalgic for me, which I was very glad they reproduced, that I was able to buy again.
I think you're gonna say exactly what I want to change my answer to.
Was the pod racer? Yeah, Anakin's pod racer. I've always really liked that ship from the films. But if you look back at the original set from the 99 run of Lego Star Wars, it's pretty bad. Like, it's really like flat and janky, no shape.
That's what it all was back in the day.
They were all like that.
Dude, I was so into it. When Phantom Menace came out, I got almost every set. The only one I didn't get was the pod racer master set with all the pod racers. And that's the one I was just, before you started talking about pod racers. I was going to say,
pod racers
I think I would like to change to that, because I've always wanted that set and they've never recreated it.
And then they came out with it, and we both bought it.
They were with Anakin's, but I wanted, like, they had like multiple pod racers.
Yeah, it was like Anakin, Sebulba, and one other.
Because Sebulba's is super cool. I've always really liked his set. I think they did re-release his set once around 2010.
Oh, maybe.
But I wasn't really buying a lot of Lego at that time, so I never got it.
Yeah, same here.
Now I'm kicking myself because I really want to get it. I went to a used Lego shop while I was visiting family at Thanksgiving, and that set was like $300.
Oh my god!
And so I was like, well, I can't buy that, but I've always wanted. And I think it was the original one with all three.
Yeah. There's a green one in there. That's
it had the green one too. Yeah. Well, maybe it was actually the new one, but it had all three of them. Anyway.
Do you have a favorite board game, card game, or role playing game?
That's Star Wars.
That's Star Wars. Yeah. There's a lot of all.
Oh man, honestly, it'd probably have to be like the D20 Star Wars RPG or the Edge of the Empire.
The D20 being the Wizards of the Coast
Star
one.
Wars Saga.
That's the Wizards of the Coast, right? Not the West End Games version.
I'm trying to remember now. I'm pretty sure it's Wizards of the Coast.
That's the one we play with Bryce.
Yeah,
the Wizards of the Coast one.
Yeah, okay. I like that one a lot.
So that's the one they did side by side with the Star Wars miniatures game.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never played the other one actually.
Card game or board game?
I really like this one that we've played a few times here recently, which is the
Outer Rim.
Outer Rim. That one's really good.
I
wish it was a little faster, but it's a good game.
Yeah, that's a solid board game. Like, I love Outer Rim a lot. We recently got the expansion for that, and it's super fun.
You say Epic Duels?
Epic Duels is my nostalgic favorite Star Wars board game.
I got a version of it, but I haven't played it since I bought it.
It's legendary. I mean, like, you can play with a ton of people, and it goes really quick, but it's a very unique, simple to learn board game, which is just fun.
Does it work with 2-player?
It does. It works with north of 2 to like 6 players basically, and it's amazing. It's so good. Card game. I've never really had a favorite card game. I know a lot of people would probably say the old Star Wars TCG, and there's been many. There's a new one right now from FFG.
Would you argue the card game would count for Star Wars miniatures because they all have cards?
Well, because you don't use the cards for like the game, right? It's the pieces, it's the miniatures
right.
that you did get a card per figure. So but it's not like a TCG or anything. It's not a collectible card game. I don't know. I do have a copy of Top Trumps, Star Wars Top Trumps. I used to play that a lot.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Yeah, I think people maybe in England would know a bit more about Top Trumps, or Europe. It's more popular over there, I think. But it's basically, you have a card with a bunch of different values on there. You basically have to say like, hey, I pick this value, and whoever has the card with the higher value, you get to do it again, and you get their card. And so your hand gets bigger, their hand gets smaller, and you always go off the top card.
It's basically just a game of war.
Pretty much. And once you get it wrong, once your value is lower than the other person, then they go and they start trying to get on the guessing spree of like, what to pick, what's strong about this character, which is going to be better than that card. It's very simple, but it's like, it kind of passes the time,
Do you have Obi-Wan?
Oh yeah,
Go fish.
Obi go fish. Okay, last question, number 20. You can create a Star Wars show or movie anywhere in the canon timeline about anyone and anything. What's it about?
I've actually been having a hard time with this recently because I feel like they've done so much that I'm not really sure where to go next that would check the box for me. I would like to see more of Luke after Return of the Jedi before Force Awakens. I would like to see him like on an adventure in a classic like Thrawn era kind of style.
I think the easier answer
but
for
I
me
also
is Darth Plagueis movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or something like prequels, like close to the prequels.
Right. Yeah, I think a Darth Plagueis movie would be my number one. I also am fascinated of a young Dooku film, but
that could be good too.
The audiobook is good, but it's like if they had.
But you're gonna get mad though because they're gonna change a bunch of stuff.
That's the thing, right? They've already fleshed it out so much that I'm like, maybe it's not a good option anymore. Whereas
something like that in animation would be cool though.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I think a movie about Luke, a young Luke. Now that we've seen that they can do it, they can pull it off. You know, with it might be expensive, but like they can pull it off,
well,
making them younger.
AI tech's getting pretty good. It's
getting better.
It's only going to get more affordable as time goes on.
Right, and that's the key. I think that'll be key in delivering that movie. But Mark Hamill's still able to do the voice, right, of Luke, and I think that's important
because he's had to do it for video games for the last 45, 50 years.
Well, he's also happy to do it. He recently returned for the latest Rebuild the Galaxy Lego miniseries that they did on Disney Plus, which was quite entertaining. And it was just seeing an old Luke, you know, like a Luke from the sequel trilogy, but he's
grizzled Luke,
grizzled Luke. But in this version of the story, he is this like swagger surfer guy,
right?
Just like
chilling. Yeah. They made a set for that, by the way.
Yes, the Dark Falcon.
I'm really thinking about getting it because it has so many unique figures, and I think
it'll be cool.
I think it's gonna be worth a lot of money. I think the resale value is gonna be crazy. The problem is it's like
Darth Jar Jar Mayfig.
That's what I mean, man. And the white Vader is super cool.
Jedi Vader, yeah.
But it's like almost 300 Canadian. So I'm like, I've been waiting for it to go on sale.
One of those figures will pay off that set in like 10 years.
Probably. That's the thing. It's going to be a money set.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. This is not financial advice.
No. But yeah, no, I think I gotta probably pick Plagueis for my movie. And
it's been sorely needed for a long time.
It has been. I think that book, I've read that book like twice or three times now, but we recently actually did a podcast about it on this podcast this year, not even that long ago. But it's such a good story, dude. Like I can't even begin to tell you just like how much they nailed that pre-Phantom Menace story, and in a perfect way that I haven't seen done in any pre-Phantom Menace story so far. Now, that being said, I have not read The Living Force by John Jackson Miller, that more recent one that came out. I still need to
Is it like very recent?
Yeah, very recent. Like
maybe,
it was like
I was going to ask you
a couple months ago
if there's something we should read and review.
I think that'll be our next
good one. Okay.
That'll be our next book read. But yeah, so far that's been the best of like almost all stories told in Star Wars.
Has Zahn made any new novels other than Thrawn?
No.
Man, they could really got to get him to do that because he's made so many good like one-off stories.
I don't think I think it's all been Thrawn.
He's probably getting bored of it. They really should let him change it up because he did another one called Allegiance about these stormtroopers that
and the choices of one, I think is what it's called.
I think that's a sequel.
But he did like a whole trilogy of books.
Jade shows up in that one.
Yeah,
and they were really good too.
Yeah,
I haven't reread that one in a while, but I remember really liking it at the time.
Yeah, I would like to read more of his stuff. All right, well that's pretty much it. Let's wrap it up.
Short chat, just random topics and 2 hours of rambling.
Oh yeah, I think
so. Thanks for sticking around and listening to us. Hope you had fun.
Once we chop out the dead air, it should probably average out at about an hour and 50.
It's still really long, but it's good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, so hopefully listeners do too.
Yeah. Hopefully all enjoyed it. As we ran through our list of 20 questions, please submit if you're still there, please submit a poll down below. I'll put a question down there. If you're on Spotify, I don't have polls on every other podcast platform to interact with our audience, but you can throw in a comment too. We do love our comments. So, make sure you hit the 5 stars and leave a comment. We do love that. All the ways to reach us are in the description below. But yeah, definitely interact with that YouTube, with that Spotify stuff. So
I'm going to change my answer for my favorite game. It is actually going to be Rancor Rampage.
From Star Wars Kinect.
From Star Wars Kinect. The Xbox Kinect.
Xbox 360 Kinect.
Oh my goodness, that game is so ridiculous.
So good. All right, sir. We will catch you in the next one.
All right. See you out there. Keep flying.
All right, and a big thank you to our audience for tuning in so far. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We will be back. And if you have not checked out our special guest episode with Jack Parker last week, make sure you do that because it was so interesting having a chat with him about puppeteering on a Star Wars show. So big thank you to him again for that chat. Super nice guy. So hopefully we get him on again at some point. And to all you listening out there, once again, Spotify down below. Hit the poll, hit the comments. We love those 5 stars. You can find us on YouTube as well with the handle at SW Escape Podcast. Links in the description below, along with our Twitter or X contact information. So follow us there. Follow us, subscribe on YouTube. Hit the bell icon. You get notified of when all the podcast episodes drop with the video format. We got upcoming special guests on the show. At some point, we will get the guys on again for Bucketheads Part 3. If you're familiar with the fan film series, go check that out. As well as special guest Dr. Kristen Noble with her book coming out in November, One with the Force. So make sure you check out all what we have in the description below. And we'll see you next week on Star Wars Escape Pod.